I want to see Syracuse in this game win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And let's start with the offense here. Now, Fran Brown, the head coach of Syracuse, he recently mentioned how they want to give true sophomore running back Yasin Willis the ball even more than he had last week. Last week against Tennessee, he had 23 carries for 90 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's also important to mention that wide receiver Jonte Cook, who had a pretty nice debut for Syracuse football, the transfer from Texas and Washington, good debut for him. Unfortunately, according to him, he's dealing with some sort of lower body injury right now. Should mention that he also said it's a minor injury and that it should not necessarily impact his availability on Saturday against UConn. But it's worth mentioning that Jonte Cook, who is arguably Syracuse's top wide receiver, probably is their top wide receiver if we're being honest, is a little dinged up right now. So that's even more reason for Syracuse football to want to give the ball to Yasin Willis. Now, how does this relate to challenging UConn up front with Yasin Willis? Well, let's talk about UConn's defensive line. If you go look at their 2 deep depth chart that they released for this upcoming game against Syracuse on Saturday, there's only one player along their front that is listed at 300 pounds or more, and that is backup nose tackle Marquise Black. Now, Jeff Nixon, offensive coordinator of Syracuse, tends to be very creative with his play calling, and I really don't have any problems with Jeff Nixon as the offensive coordinator. He has done a fantastic job, really, since day one with Syracuse football. He knows how to call a game. So I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, Jeff Nixon, throw the creativity out the window here. No creative plays whatsoever. But when in doubt against this UConn front, challenge them. You have Yasin Willis, who is a big, tough, physical running back. He could handle Tennessee. He was running Tennessee guys over. That should say something to you. Give this man the ball. When in doubt, run up the gut against the UConn Huskies. And also, feel free to use some tempo as well. Move faster on offense. Make this UConn front even more tired. So that's offense as far as challenging them up front with running back Yasin Willis. As far as the defense, this is not going to be easy. Their 2 running backs in Cam Edwards and Mel Brown, they are both very capable running backs, and UConn will use more than just 2 ball carriers throughout the game. So kind of similar to the Tennessee matchup where Tennessee has multiple running backs that they like to shuffle through, whether it's Peyton Lewis or Star Thomas and Deshaun Bishop, right? UConn, maybe to a lesser extent, does the same thing as a team like Tennessee with multiple running backs on the field. That means if you're Syracuse, you are going to be constantly going up against someone in the backfield who is fresh throughout the game. Now, having said all of that, can this Syracuse football front, can they stop the run? Can they generate a pass rush against UConn without having to necessarily load the box? Because that would help them tremendously in this game if they do not have to put 7-8 guys in the box to stop the run, and they do not have to put 7-8 guys in the box or blitz in order to generate some sort of pass rush against Joe Fignana. Because we'll talk about it in the next segment, they also really need to keep their eye on wide receiver Skyler Bell. So you're going to need help in the secondary in this one against UConn. So this front in particular has got to be able to stop the run and also generate some sort of pass rush without having to put 7-8 guys in the box. And let's be clear about UConn. Yes, they should absolutely be respected. This is also not the Great Wall of Dallas offensive line here. 3 of their 5 offensive linemen are 300 pounds or more, but that means also 2 of their guys are less than 300 pounds along that offensive line. For context, everyone on Syracuse's offensive line is above 300 pounds. And by the way, with UConn, yes, 3 of their 5 are 300 pounds or more. 2 of those guys are only 300 pounds, which I know sounds funny. only 300 pounds, but we're talking about Division I college football terms here. 300 pounds on the offensive line isn't exactly the greatest amount of size in the world in Division I football. So if you're Syracuse, can you take advantage of perhaps an undersized offensive line and defensive line for UConn? Fran Brown, head coach, he talks about physicality, how Syracuse needs to be more physical. They definitely have to out physical UConn in this one.